Hello everyone, I am BowserJrXD. Welcome to the Monaco ePrix number 2, race 7 of 16 for Formula E in 2025. Once again, we're at the Circuit de Monaco as the kickoff for Formula One's month of May in a way, before they come here at the end of the month. Yesterday, amidst a series of strategies that were turned upside down with a safety car, or a full course yellow safety car for the crash by Antonio Felix da Costa, Oliver Rowland got his third win of the season and has pulled out to leave a 35-point lead in the championship, which is pretty massive. It's over a race worth. Now he's starting on pole. Yeah. I'll get this her line up in just a moment. All right, so starting 22nd, driving the number 8 McLaren Nissan for Neon McLaren Formula E team, 38 years old from Roehampton, United Kingdom, Sam Bird. Starting 21st, driving the number 48 Mahindra for Mahindra Racing, 38 years old from Geneva, Switzerland, Eduardo Mortara. Starting 20th, driving the number 51 Andretti Porsche for Andretti Formula E, 33 years old from Thun, Switzerland, Nico Muller. Starting 19th, driving the number 4 Envision Jaguar for Envision Racing, 33 years old from Maastricht, Netherlands, Robin Freins. Starting 18th, driving the number 3 Kiro Porsche for Cupra Kiro, 25 years old from Iserlohn, Germany, David Beckman, the first rookie. Starting 17th, driving the number 9 Jaguar for Jaguar TCS Racing, 30 years old from Auckland, New Zealand, Mitch Evans. Starting 16th, driving the number 5 McLaren Nissan for Neon McLaren Formula E team, 20 years old from Norwich, United Kingdom, Taylor Barnard, the second rookie. Starting 15th, driving the number 17 Nissan for Nissan Formula E team, 32 years old from Caen, France, Norman Nato. Starting 14th, driving the number 37 Jaguar for Jaguar TCS Racing, 30 years old from Auckland, New Zealand, Nick Cassidy. Starting 13th, driving the number 55 Maserati for Maserati MSG Racing, 30 years old from Birmingham, United Kingdom, Jake Hughes. Starting 12th, driving the number 27 Andretti Porsche for Andretti Formula E, 29 years old from Nuneaton, United Kingdom, Jake Dennis. Starting trying to find the sports channel. Starting 11th, driving the number 11, Lola Yamaha for Lola Yamaha ABT Formula E team, 40 years old from Sao Paulo, Brazil, Lucas deGrassi. There we go. Starting 10th, now the top 10. Starting 10th, driving the number 1, Porsche for Tag Heuer Porsche Formula E team, 30 years old from Sigmaringen, Germany, Pascal Varline. Starting 9th, driving to number 22, Lola Yamaha for Lola Yamaha ABT Formula E team. 21 years old from Barbados, Bridgetown, Barbados, Zane Maloney. Starting 8th, driving the number 16, Envision Jaguar for Envision Racing. 36 years old from Igel, Switzerland, Sebastian Buemi. Starting 7th, driving the number 3, Kiro Porsche for Cooper Kiro. 25 years old from London, United Kingdom, Dan Ticktum. Trying to find the qualifying results. I guess I don't know what happened in qualifying. So I don't know what time the pole time is. Anyway, starting 6th, starting 6th, driving to number 13, Porsche for Tag Heuer Porsche Formula E team. 33 years old from Cascais, Portugal, Antonio Felix da Costa. Starting 5th, driving to number 2, Maserati for Maserati MSG Racing. 33 years old from Kortrijk, Belgium, Stoffel van Dorn. Starting 4th, driving to number 25, DS for DS Penske. 35 years old from Pontoise, France, Jean-Eric Verne. Starting 3rd, driving the number 7, DS for DS Penske. 27 years old from Oberstdorf, Germany, Maximilian Gunther. Starting outside pole, driving the number 21, Mahindra for Mahindra Racing. 30 years old from Uitwellingeras, Netherlands, Nick de Vries. And on the pole, driving the number 23 Nissan for Nissan Formula E team. 32 years old from Barnsley, United Kingdom, Oliver Rowland. That is your starting lineup for today's Monaco ePrix. Now, what was I going to say? I don't know what I was going to say. Damn it. Oh, yeah, now I remember. Something I mention this every so often, but I think it bears the repeating. So, in this series, obviously, you're either an engine supplier or customer. Though the interesting case is that of the Stellantis power engine, as Stellantis is a company that owns several automobiles, and they own DS, which is typically based in France, and Maserati. In this case, even though they're called by separate manufacturers, they are the same powertrain. DS is the factory team, Maserati is the customer team in this case, which is a little weird, but yeah. So McLaren is let's see. For the other manufacturers, Nissan is the factory team, and McLaren is the customer. Jaguar, the factory team, Envision, the customer. What else? Mahindra has no customers. Neither does Yamaha. Porsche is the only other factory team, and Andretti and Kiro are the purchasers. All right.
France, Muller missed out on the podium due to a pit boost problem yesterday, but assisted his teammate to a podium finish. Next up, you've got David Beckman and Mitch Evans in the Jaguar TCS Racing. That's his worst starting position since Sao Paulo. Barnard was denied a dual spot after the problems in qualifying for his teammates, and as such, he's right down the order. Then it's Nick Cassidy and Jake Hughes a little bit further up. Cassidy not made a duels so far in season 11. Further up the order, you've got the likes of Jake Dennis as well as Lucas de Grassi. And then inside the top 10, this is how it all works out. Pascal Wehrlein. He missed the duels for the third time in 5 races, but now sits second in the Drivers' Championship after 6th at the checkered flag. Zay Maloney equals his career best starting position as he seeks his first points in Formula E. Sebastian Buemi, that's his best starting position of the season, and he has got the Briton Dan Ticktum alongside him. He's been in imperious form, but was furious after a team error in qualifying meant his dual lap was in 300 kilowatts instead of 350. Da Costa, he was in the wall yesterday after an over-ambitious overtake at the final corner. He'll be aiming for redemption at the track he won on in 2021. Van Dorn gets his best grid slot of season 11. He's had 5 points finishes this year and lines up 5th on the grid today. The second row of the grid is occupied by the 2 DS Penske's. Both drivers were off track in the dual semi-finals and had their lap times cancelled. Gunther, though, starts third. That's his best grid position in Monaco. The upshot is Nick de Vries inherited second on the grid after the DS blunder, and he took his first podium since 2022 yesterday. Can he go one better than that here this afternoon? Oliver Rowland, his second Monaco pole, and he was the winner, of course, yesterday. Now sits 37 points clear in the Drivers'
Sam
Championship.
Bird is starting in the pit lane.
Sitting at the end of the pit lane, so the team have done a great job rebuilding his car after a fairly big accident. So they line up here, no formation lap in Formula E. If you're new, welcome. They just pull up 2 grid slots. You see the smoke coming off the tires, getting a little bit of temperature into the rear tires, and then we settle straight into the race.
Let's see the Princess there receiving a bouquet ahead of the start of this race. I actually don't think Sam Bird being in the pit lane will be such a bad place to be. He'll miss any incident at the first corner because he cuts along through the inside.
Yeah, it's a safer route, isn't it? Taking the pit lane cuts through the inside behind the curve, the apex of the first corner. Here we go, Tom.
So this is going to be a drying circuit then for this ePrix. You can see the sunshine is out for the first time in quite a few hours here in Monte Carlo. And what will happen when the lights go out? And crucially, when the checkered flag falls in 29 laps time, it is all eyes on the lights.
There we go, another 29 laps around Monaco. We're green.
As we go green and go racing, great start from the front row of the grid for Nick de Vries, but it's Oliver
Rowland, of course, holding on to his lead.
Position side by side with the 2 DS Penske's up the hill into Sandevon. Everybody taking it quite clean through the first couple of corners, but trying to find grip as we head towards Casino Square.
That was very disciplined, actually, from all drivers. And I think what we've been talking about during ahead of the race is this is a long game race. You're not going to win it at the first corner. And I think it was actually, look, you accepted where you went off the line, and then just, it's almost like a parade lap through the first corner, because we know that if you go damage your car there, then it's a long afternoon.
Yeah, but it's kicking off.
Ooh, we got a charge going 3 wide there. It's one of the Andretti's.
Having a look at Pascal Wehrlein. They've got a lot of history.
Jake Dennis.
And Jake Hughes now alongside Nick Cassidy as
Looks like
well.
he made that move work.
Oh,
3 wide, that's not going to work. It was one of the Yamaha's trying to dive bomb.
You can see them fishtailing out of the corner.
That was de Grassi.
They try to find some grip on this constantly evolving racetrack into the tunnel.
Also, I didn't realize it's wet, which also might be why they stopped qualifying.
That worked out really well for him. Dennis and Cassidy were out wide, and de Grassi's gained 2 places. Good move there. Yeah, Mortara's lost some ground here on the opener as well. He's in 20th place. Muller also down in 21st as well. So not worked out well on the start for them. In towards the New Vel chicane we go. And it's nose-to-tail action between the field, side by side there in the background. That's Sam Bird.
Ben Bird's made up a couple spots, looks like.
Trying to get the better with Taylor Barnard.
Unless it's, no, that's Barnard. I saw, never mind.
As well, but it's Oliver Rowland that leads. And look at the lack of spray already. It's starting to dry out quite quickly. There's a very good possibility we're going to dry line before the end of this race.
So while it's settled a little bit, let's quickly talk about tactics here, Tom. Every driver's got to take attack mode. What does that do? It gives you an extra 50 kilowatts of power. But in these conditions, crucially, it also gives you 4-wheel drive. And we saw in qualifying, that's worth sometimes up to 6-7 seconds. So that'll give them a great opportunity to overtake. I think anyone outside the top 10 will try and get an early attack mode when we've got these greasy conditions to try and gain a chunk of places.
Yeah, it's been a lot of discipline from the drivers in these early laps. A few little wheel banging, but nothing that's seen any damage. And I think at this stage, it's just about settling, finding where the track conditions are. And of course, getting heat in the tires, when you don't have a parade lap, you're going off completely cold.
Rolling there, sticking tightly to the inside, hunting for grip. And that's often the case when you've got these slippery conditions. You look for grip on the unconventional lines. You don't necessarily see the the usual out in out that you would see on a normal
All right, top
dry
top
condition.
4. Tops. No, that's still kind of a trade.
Basically slow, isn't it?
Walking pace, isn't it?
Yeah, everyone's being
That's how they start, at
so
least.
disciplined here. It's like, you
Ooh,
know,
let's
they
slip up a
scroll
little
and
bit
like
from
headmasters
debris.
watching you.
Want to keep this car
So through
from not
supported
crashing
we
in the
go.
wet.
So at the sharp end of the grid, not much has changed. De Costa's made ground on Van Dorn. Those two have switched places from where they started. But Wemmy has also switched positions with Dan Tickton. This is the clear view we have down towards the chicane, on board from a driver's eye perspective with Oliver Rowland. He's taking it so gingerly through there, and I'm not surprised at all. But this is going to be really interesting to see who decides to go into attack mode. I was talking to Jake Dennis just before he went to the grid earlier on, and he said that if you're further down the order, you've got to go for attack mode early, try and cycle through the field, exactly as he said, Karun, because there's an opportunity to make some ground.
But how early?
So the counter to that is, if you're one of the leaders, you don't want to risk taking attack mode too early, because we expect to see a safety car or maybe even a red flag, and then you lose that benefit.
Okay, good job, Nick. Stick with it. If you've got the pace, you can overtake.
So I always like trying to read beyond the messages, because we're having that played in. It's great to have that insight, but of course it could be a bit of misinformation. It could be, don't use extra energy trying to overtake, just hold position. And because we know that Oliver Rowland is brilliant at somehow controlling the pace while saving and using less energy than his competitors.
You can see the drivers there. They've got two attack modes.
Why he's
That's
won 3
indicated
races
by
out of
the
7.
two dots next to their names. Of course, when they use one, it will go down. If you're new to Formula E, welcome along. It's great to have you here. Drivers have 2 deployments of attack mode. That means they get an extra 50 kilowatts of power, and they get 4-wheel drive, and they have to use it in 2 deployments. They can use 6 minutes and 2 minutes. The reverse of that, 2 minutes and 6 minutes, or 4 minutes and 4 minutes.
Now we have some attack mode. Sebastian Buemi, Dan Tickton, Jake Dennis.
They're trying to cycle through the field and look at the traction advantage.
Strategy taking loses 1.3 seconds, but he'll probably gain it back. So
Buemi is the first of those 3. So he's the green car you can see behind. Oh,
ooh,
Tickton's gone wide.
he took then Tickton took attack mode, but went to the chicane at a bad angle, or the hairpin.
He's in 7th as Tickton is really struggling here.
It's almost like his system hasn't,
He's damaged suspension, I think.
yeah, it hasn't
Well, that
come
stinks.
together properly.
Yeah, he looks like he's crabbing down this straight, doesn't he? Or is he just struggling for traction there? Something maybe.
No, something's not right.
Yeah, not right there with Dan Tickton's car. Has he caused some damage after a trip into the barrier down at the Fairmont hairpin?
This is where we'll get an illustration here.
Tickton followed. That's really good. No one ahead has
There
attack.
we go. Look,
Let's move forward.
This is 4-wheel drive coming through, so watch this. Buemi might even end up in the next 3 minutes getting all the way
So
up.
Norman Nato and David Beckman also took the attack mode. So Buemi, Tickton, Dennis, Nato are on for 4. Beckman is on for 6.
The 2 Cooper Kiros opting for the same strategy. On board we are here now with Buemi, so let's see how quickly he's able to pick off Antonio Felix da Costa in front.
The challenge in these conditions is the extra 50 kilowatts is harder to use because
It's wet.
the traction's so slippery. But now, look, there's the 4-wheel drive kicking in. When you're putting the power down, the front wheels are pulling you as much as the rear wheels are pushing all of the other cars. So there's a real double benefit of the power plus the ability to use the power.
The problem you've got, though, is that you're arriving at the corner faster, and we have seen drivers making mistakes, crucially, in qualifying like we had earlier on this morning.
Yeah, well, that might be the case there with Tickton, as we yet to see him take advantage of the attack mode. But just behind him, Dennis does have that.
Yeah, Vern's
All right, Da Costa takes attack mode. We got Van Dorn taking attack mode. Jean-Eric Verne took attack mode. Verne for 4, Da Costa for 4, Van Dorn for 4. I think Jake Hughes just took for 4. Robin Frines for 4.
Oliver Rowland here.
Yeah, the game of working together, it tends to be around energy efficiency. But let's remember, in a wet race, that's not so much of a problem. You know, at the moment they're lapping the 155s. There isn't going to be a problem in terms of energy. They start the race with 70% of what they would need to finish a full dry race. But with slower pace in the wet, this isn't going to be energy limited.
Bit of variance in some of the attack mode strategies as well. David Beckman in particular in the Cooper Kiro, he's gone for 6 minutes early on, which means he'll only have 2 minutes later on in
Got
the
on
race.
a couple
Let's see how that
spots.
works out
Although that's
for
some of the
him.
advice from
Verne
people
there
taking
all over
attack
the back of
mode.
Nick de Vries.
Yeah, and De Vries is doing Roland a favour here, isn't he? Because the longer that De Vries can hold, you know, that pack of cars behind him, the longer it's going to benefit Roland. You know, those 7 cars behind, they want to get past De Vries and Roland, but De Vries doing great defensive drive here.
Yeah, Buemi now just under a minute of attack mode left. He should be able to clear both these cars using that we're going to see him leaving, Verne has attack mode, so that's going to neutralise that, but that will put De Vries under a lot of pressure.
And yeah, look at that, straight away, driving past him like he's standing still down this start finish.
All right,
So
Verne
yes,
and Buemi by De Vries. So De Vries out of podium positions.
Of course, work in his favour a little bit later on, hopefully for Nick De Vries, but easy to see how visible the difference is there for him. Gunther is the next man on the attack against the Mahindra driver. Got a yellow down at T1.
Someone wrecked.
Well, I think it's David Beckman who's come to
Oh, man.
some problems. Let's wait and see
The
what's
rookie
going
in
on
last
there.
place,
As he goes into
no
attack mode,
points,
he's gonna
along with the other
in front.
one of the
So
other
Jack Dennis is
rookies,
coming to
Zane
get
Maloney.
his first attack mode deployment as we
Then a
look
yellow
at
flag
Tictum
is gone, so
lunging
we're all
on
good
the
again.
inside of
Ooh,
Beckman.
look at almost
Gunther
near
down
contact
the
between
inside.
Tictum
That one
and
down,
Gunther.
switches back to the inside for the hairpin. On board we ride now with
So he's up to
Britain,
5th,
and he
so he's
thinks
been able to
better of it
maximize
for
the
now.
use
Yeah,
of
but
some
he's
of
done
his
a lot of
attack mode.
Just half
Difference
a
is
full
now
air
that
there,
well,
so
he's
will
out.
be, so-
People behind and ahead of him have it.
Got up to third, but he will struggle to hold
Buemi has
Gunther off.
is out of also in attack mode.
Still
Verne is not. Here comes John-Eric Verne to the outside of Oliver Rowland. He takes the lead. Number 25 back up front. And we have a race control call giving the black and white flag to Nick De Vries for moving under braking. One of my whatever. Verne's just trying to pull away. If he can get to the front stretch, to be able to get a great run. So Jake Hughes in the Maserati. Oh, so he hit David Beckman.
Down at the first corner.
That's got to be a penalty.
Thankfully,
Probably.
he managed to he didn't even turn round, did he? 3-pointer.
He's got a puncture.
Yeah, rear left.
Yeah.
Puncture.
So was that puncture there already, or is it as a result of this contact?
I'm going to suggest it's from that contact because that's the rear left he's hit. Well,
Actually, I guess it was the front wing that must have just pushed it off the rim, but that's going to be a long, painful ride back to the pits.
Lap 6, John-Eric Verne it is that leads. Oliver Rowland in second, but still got his 2 attack mode deployments now remaining, but he's going to be coming under increasing pressure here from Gunther up the hill.
yeah, he's doing a great job though.
Anyone not taken at the field?
Yes, cars from P10, P11, P12, DS 40 seconds, both.
But Rowland's absolutely in the pound seat here because he's held them off. He's not taken attack mode, and yet he's in second place, having held off, people like Gunther who are in attack mode and now out of it. So that's very, very good driving from Oliver Rowland.
Berline has been a victim of all of the attack modes that have happened further back, by the way, because he started this race in 10th place, has now been relegated back down to 16th position, but all the other drivers in front, pretty much bar Nick Cassidy, have used 1 attack mode deployment.
With the current track conditions, 3.5 seconds. That's what it's worth. Attack mode at the moment. Verne on the last lap, 3.5 quicker than Rowland. So that just gives us a sense of what the benefit can be for Rowland when he takes it. He can catch and probably pass in 2 laps' time.
Cassidy having a bit of a crack in here as well as we look at Nick De Vries going through on the inside of Buemi for 4th into back. But Cassidy's been able to keep at least 3 drivers who are actively in attack mode at bay behind. As we get confirmation, no surprise there that Hughes and Beckman under investigation for that collision down at the first corner.
Yeah, De Vries with a minute to go would expect to be able to find his way into third. So when they've done this cycle, all the top runners, bar Rowland, have used the first 4 minutes of attack.
It's been a great weekend for Mahindra. First podium since Mexico 23 yesterday, courtesy of Nick De Vries, who's now pulling alongside and indeed ahead of Gunther for 3rd position. Down in towards the first corner we go. We begin lap 7. De Vries, the only driver inside the top 5 that is currently in active attack mode. And now we get our first look at the energy in this race. It's the first time for the other teams to see it as well.
Only Cassidy, P12, no attack, and then cars below P16.
So no surprise there at all to see the drivers that have used attack mode to have expended a little bit more energy compared to those around them. Rowland's done a good job in second at the moment, but he's still got those 2 attack modes, as we know.
There's dry patches emerging, isn't it? There's a few bits of the track where you can see it's just visibly drying up a bit. I mean, it's hard to explain to people at home just how difficult it is and how much concentration these drivers need in these conditions. Every time they press the brake pedal, every time they try and put the power down, it is so on a knife edge in terms of a lockup or a mistake. So
Yeah, that dry line as well, it becomes your best friend, doesn't it? You desperately try and make sure that you train track the tyres into any dry line that you have on the circuit.
Got a yellow down at turn 8, Lucas de Grassi, by the looks of things, whilst we're looking at this super slow-mo replay. What's happened then for the Brazilian driver? Let's wait and see.
De Grassi has hit the wall.
Lucas de Grassi looks to be out of the ePrix. That's a shame for Lola Yamaha apps. They have had a shocker of a weekend here in the
right now, Lola Yamaha is the worst team.
At least on one side of the garage.
For both manufacturer and points.
Full course yellow in 3, 2,
1.
Full course yellow, full course yellow.
So they couldn't have a virtual
so the race
safety
is
car.
neutralised then. Full course yellow. This is effectively a virtual safety car, so the drivers have to reduce pace, and it keeps the gaps at pretty much a constant. The only one that was going to be at a disadvantage because of the attack mode was Lucas de Grassi. He's now out, so thankfully it's not disadvantaged anybody who was at that point in the race.
Yeah, and this is the tricky thing with the attack mode, isn't it? Is you need to you're kind of rolling the dice in terms of the timing, because you're not in control of what other people end up doing. And as you say, in this instance, fortunately, no one else was negatively impacted.
Well, the drivers will be saving a bit of energy. So this is coming down the hill at Fairmont. This is de Grassi's teammate Zane Maloney going side by side there with Jake Dennis. Bit of hip and shoulder on the exits, and a bit of front wing coming off of the Lola Yamaha apps machine as well. In front of him,
no, that is de Grassi.
It is de Grassi, yeah, lunging on the inside.
Yeah, that was de Grassi alongside Dennis. Not. I think Maloney was a car in front. Yeah.
I think a little bit of frustration there.
We full course yellow ending in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag, please.
So the full course yellow ends, and now the race begins again.
Yeah, I think that there was de Grassi. You could see with him sort of nibbling at the back of Dennis as he came round Lowe's hairpin. He just had the frustration. I've got attack mode. I've got to go. He sent it and then gone, oh, there's a tight corner coming up. And sort of, you know, what do you call it, red mist moment.
He only lives down the road from there. He should have known that corner.
Absolutely.
This has worked really nicely, though, for Jean-Eric Vergne. He's got a 3.5-second lead over Oliver Rowland. I know Rowland has still got one attack mode to use, but every other driver behind the DS Penske, aside from Rowland, has used one attack mode deployment. So he's in a good position at the moment, you would have to think.
Yeah, he cleared Rowland, wasn't it? That was critical, because Gunther got stuck behind the freeze and Rowland, whereas Verne got ahead, and that's the difference. That's why he's broken away. So
see, we're going to already packed the green.
So it's one thing to get attack mode, but to use it effectively is so important.
I think keep an eye as well for the likes of Cassidy, Verline, Evans, etc. They've all got two attack modes left remaining, and our virtual race engineer agrees with that as well, saying that it's a huge advantage. So down in towards the back we go. You can see the circuit now visibly drying out. It's getting faster and faster as the laps go and tick down. We head down this back straight. There is Evans with Mortara. Mortara's just gone into his attack mode, so no point Evans fighting it too hard.
So Jake Hughes has been given a 5-second penalty for that collision with David Beckman, which is probably fair enough, isn't he? He punted him from behind, so yeah, that's fair enough.
Bad weekend all round for Jake Hughes. Oh, big slide there as well for Sebastian Buemi as we ride on board. Not a lot of aerodynamic grip on these Formula E Gen 3 Evo machines, and that's why they are just all over the place on the start-finish straight. They try to find traction and spin their wheels even when they're going over 100 miles an hour.
When you look at those who haven't used any of their attack mode right now, Rowland, we understand, and you've already mentioned, is doing a great job in second. But we look Verline and the two Jags as well. They're rolling, or putting all of their eggs in the basket of maybe one single attack mode later in the race.
Down in towards Mirabeau we go. You can see Buemi fighting for control. Cassidy then is the first driver to blink with one of the two attack modes remaining. And he goes in for a quick 2-minute deployment at the mid-pack of this race. He was about half a second behind Jake Dennis. So let's see how quickly he's able to dispatch of the Season 9 world champion.
These weather conditions have, I think, favoured the Stellantis cars. Tommaso Volpe was telling us on the grid, David, wasn't he, that he expected them to be quick. And actually, you look at where they were in the dry yesterday versus their pace today, and both DS Penske's are up there. Buemi squirming under braking, but staying put behind Gunther. But, you know, Van Dorn up in 7th as well. Oh, they've touched.
Oh, so close there between the two. They must have made contact coming into back. The closing speed there for Buemi, not enough for him to avoid hitting the back of Max Gunther. Thankfully, they managed to emerge facing in the right direction. But it is close quarters between them, and look at how the top three have now been able to break away from these two behind as well. Gunther some 3 seconds up the road compared to 3 seconds or so up the road compared to the likes of De Vries.
So Cassidy has gone into attack mode, David, as we were saying. The Jags were waiting, but he's gone for it now. Let's see how far he can get up there. He's only a second or so behind Tictum, so he should get Tictum at least before he runs out.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I had all my files in order for report for the live report I have to hand in tomorrow. Okay, so all right, so John-Eric Burns needs to lead by about 2.6 seconds, courtesy of his first attack mode, or 3.2. Okay. Oh, ticked him at the wall. He got into a runoff, but 3-point man. Nice rotation to get that car going again, but damn. Good, well, not really a save, but back on track. He's in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. The separation's pretty crazy.
Quite detrimental to the Britain.
Power of the rain.
Yeah, I think he's down. Yeah, exactly. He's
Okay,
down.
18th. What happened to? Where's Barnard at?
It's quite lucky that he didn't slide in.
There's the leader.
Across the path of. There we go. Across the path of Cassidy. Look, he slid. Cassidy saw him coming, slowed down enough that ticked him right across.
Save, I guess, guys. Well, there's nothing to save for. It's there, so.
So, once again, frustration for Dan Ticktum, not for the first time here today on the team radio, but Cassidy was doing the normal racing line. You move over because of the bump on the exit of it.
Oh.
Unfortunately, there was no grip in the braking zone.
Good thing that runoff was there.
He actually did brilliantly to...
I believe he got the car turned around.
Could have been a race-ending shunt, so all credit to him. I didn't fully understand his...
Drifted back
message to
onto the
team,
track
but,
almost.
Not for the first time.
Well, so I think he's saying that I'll have to save now because he's going to expend a bit more energy, I guess, to try and move his way back up the order. And I guess saying that his race is run, one would imagine.
Not over until the checkered flag. We saw that in qualifying, and it certainly isn't in a race.
We've seen it in other Formula E races as well. You get a late race safety car, bring you right back into contention.
Especially in these conditions.
Yeah, no doubt about it. There is the pensive face of Jay Penske inside the DS pit box. Fred Bertrand as well. Wouldn't want to see what his heart rate is at the moment. Going down through the Fairmont hairpin we are then. So Verne has kept the gap at a constant between himself and Roland, around about 3 seconds or so. Don't forget to vote for your PIF driver of the race when this one all unravels. Team radio for Roland.
So everyone that has attacked has 4 minutes left, apart from Cassidy 6, and only 4 cars from P16 to P20 have an attack remaining.
Cue a little smile, and Oliver
About a
Rowland
third of the
says,
race is complete.
But I'm slightly surprised he's not gone for his first one now, because I think you
Could use it to pass it.
You just want to
Maybe go 2 minutes. Probably make up all the time to Verne.
Yeah, I think he's been building out a gap to Nick De Vries. It's about 1.3 seconds or so now, so comfortably he can come out ahead.
So he doesn't get passed.
Like,
So
the
he
longer
doesn't
you
have.
leave it, the greater the risk is. You get a yellow flag, a safety car. I mean, look what happened in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, if he took 2 minutes at this pace, he'll get 1 lap of attack mode, which will be enough to get him.
That's what I said.
Ahead of,
Fastest lap
He's pushing
rolling?
on now. He's at the fastest lap by a few tenths of a second over Jean-Eric Vergne.
Without the
This lap
attack
was him
mode.
coming in for the attack mode.
Pace is good, mate. If you can get position, go for it.
Looking further down the order, Verlaine and Evans yet to use any attack as well. So whatever the thinking is for Roland, then you could maybe say, well, I understand why they would roll the dice down to 15, 16.
Roland's still going in for that attack mode then, so that prediction goes out the window. And I wonder if he's just banking and saving energy, because obviously I suppose in attack mode you do consume that little bit more energy as Verne tries to get his car rotated round the hairpin. But it's going to be interesting to see how this one all works out, isn't it? It's bubbling up quite nicely here in Formula E. On board we ride with Nick De Vries. He's kept the gap to Oliver Rowland at a constant.
Yeah, Verlaine and Muller have gone for attack mode, so they are. But as David was saying before, they're outside trying to make position at the moment. Here we are on board with Wehrlein. Let's see if he can use the traction. He's only gone for the short one, hasn't he? 2 minutes.
Yeah, Evans in front hasn't used attack mode at the moment, so he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck. Everybody else directly in front of Wehrlein has done so, and look at how fast Wehrlein is going to be pulling out of Portier into the tunnel. Is he going to be able to make a move coming in towards the Nouvelle chicane? Well, Evans goes for the defensive line, but Wehrlein's not quite close enough to mount a challenge at the moment.
So strat 2, strat 2.
Whoa, contact.
Push it to attack. We need to get
For a line into the back of more.
and 2 minutes to get NATO
Evans,
out of
Mitch
the way.
Evans.
Yeah, well, that's smart from Evans because he knew Wehrlein's in attack mode, so he just covered off the inside and he's keeping track position.
Yeah, perfectly within his rights to do so. A little bit of contact into the back of the Jaguar, and now look at Evans trying to force a move here on the inside of Norman Nato into Larascas. Can he make that stick? He's got track position, he's got the inside line, and look at this.
Can you get to Nato's inside? No.
His teammate tried that yesterday and he ended it in the barrier.
Well, you're getting this time. Wehrlein's got 30 seconds left of attack mode. He'll get by.
Norman Nato.
He'll get by Norman Nato.
Following him through for
Won't be able to get
position
to
as
it.
well.
Oh! Contact between the two cars ahead of him.
Into the barrier, almost there.
That was Mitch Evans and Jake Hughes. Wehrlein will use the last of his attack mode to get by both of them up to 13. Capitalizing on the two cars' mistakes. And there's Evans trying to get around the outside of Hughes.
Side move there at Casino Square for Mitch Evans has pulled that off absolutely brilliantly. Down the hill we go in towards Mirabeau. There is Tickton keeping a watching brief with a yellow at turn 3.
Might be debris.
Yeah, possibly a bit of debris. Have had a smattering of contact. Oh, there's Miller.
Nico Muller with the problem. Car slow to a stop.
Is in some strife, and that, if it can't be recovered quickly, which I don't think it will be there,
Could be
it's
safety
going to
car.
be either a full course yellow, possibly a safety car. So if that happens, Freitz and Muller,
I'll be
well,
right
Freitz and
back.
Muller not necessarily because he's out of the race now, but Freitz will be at a disadvantage for that because he's in attack mode.
I think he's parked near the gap of the barrier, though. Where that orange barrier was, I think
Alright,
he can just
I'll
pull
not
the
be
car
right
backwards.
back.
So,
Yeah.
I'm trying to recognise where
it's
that
up
was
Casino-
at Casino Square. Yeah,
Casino
but
Square, yeah.
trying to
Safety car,
remember.
though.
All
I
right.
don't think the gap's
There's
big enough to
Roland.
get
Oh,
the
safety car.
through there, by the looks of it. So
Oliver Roland has not used his attack mode, so that's a blessing in this, and that's a blessing for him. He can take it and then zoom by Vern. All their drivers have not taken their two attack modes, Rich Evans and the two McLarens of Taylor Barnard and Sam Bird.
Contact into the first corner. Interesting, they've gone full course safety. So it's at the apex of the exit of Casino Square.
yeah, it's just after attack mode, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. So
So Muller in the car at the moment. He'll be jumping out of that one soon, I'm sure. We didn't see exactly what happened. Has he got a red car?
No, it's green. The light's
green.
green.
Okay, it's got a
I
green
was just
car.
about to say, the green, light's green, but that gap is definitely not big enough. Does that gate open?
Yeah, they're trying to remove
yeah,
bits
there
of
we
it,
go.
aren't they?
Open the
there's a
gate.
curb there as well. Can they lift that over? Or get the Vaseline out and just give it a good shove?
There we go. So the safety car is on. So this should be a relatively quick safety car in this race. Let's just remind us of the energy then for the drivers. Actually, first of all, let's work out what happened then to Nico Muller. Oh, just lost it on his own over the rise by the looks of things, unless there was some contact earlier on.
I hit the wall. Sorry. My bad. I hit the wall. I tried to get out of the way.
The car safe to bring back or not?
No.
Okay, stop in a safe place. Stop in a safe place.
Out of the way of who? I
Yeah.
don't recall who was coming up.
I didn't see anyone behind him.
Well, either way, Muller apoplectic yesterday after what he felt was a victory that slipped through his fingers. The marshals are struggling to get traction on the tiles here as well. But now the safety car is out, and we're at the halfway stage of this race. If it's out for more than 4 minutes, which I don't think it will be, we'll get added laps, so we should be okay in that respect. But this is played beautifully into the hands of the likes of Oliver Rowland, for Barnard, for Evans. Anybody who's got two attack mode deployments are having a cracker. Whilst we now see the safety car will be coming in, let's go down to Saunders in pit lane. Saunders, who have you got?
Just wanted to give you a bit of an update, because while that was all going on, I saw Mitch Evans come into the pit and do a bit of a tyre change. So I guess there maybe was a puncture from that little coming together that we saw on the screen a little while ago. But yeah, he's back out on track, but that explains why he's dropped down the order, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, thanks, Saunders. That was going to be my next point, actually. Mitch Evans down in 18th position then. So he's got a bit of work to do. Thankfully, the field now all bunched up.
I think Muller was trying to get out of the way of his own shadow because there was no one directly behind him.
Yeah.
Well, a shame there for Muller's weekend to end in the barrier as he has the long and lonely walk back to the pit lane.
And dive into the casino directly in front of him. If he isn't lucky on track, he might be lucky in there.
Yeah, well, stick €5 on and see how you get on.
I don't think €5 will cut it.
Frines has lost out here, isn't he? He's the one who was in attack mode for the safety car, so he's the one who's lost out here.
So a virtual race engineer, as we said, Roland's got an energy advantage. He's been saving more than 0.2% per lap than the leader, and he's still got 2 attack mode deployments. So once again, it is falling into the hands of Oliver Roland quite nicely here, but there's still half the race to go. Safety car will then in at the end of this lap. Jean-Eric Vergne it is that will lead the field. He now effectively becomes the pace setter as we look at Jay Penske and Tommaso Volpe inside the pit box. Green flag.
All right, green.
Will resume here on the streets of Monte Carlo. They come out of Anthony Noakes and aim for the timing line. So Vergne leads Roland, leads the
Mahindra, oh, sorry, Mahindra. De Vries looked like he was trying to see if he can get a run on Roland.
Yeah, he had a great launch out of Anthony Noakes there, didn't he? But he's not quite close enough. Look at Buemi trying for the inside line on Gunther. Nothing doing for him there.
And once his laps halfway through this lap, we'll hit the halfway point.
On these first laps, because you're trying to get the tyres back up to temperature, and you see Jean-Eric Vergne just trying to make a bit of a run for it. Roland, I think, will now wait a couple of laps to try and open up some sort of a gap to the field behind so he doesn't drop too many places when he goes to attack mode.
Yeah, exactly. It's too bunched up.
Oh, look at this. Bunched up as well. De Vries looking for the inside line on Roland. He knows that, Nick De Vries. And
Oh man, someone's trying to go way outside. That was one of the. That was Da Costa. Couldn't get that around Buemi. Trying again. You have the proper alignment. No. Oh, one of the Wola Yamaha's not doing well through that turn. Neither did Eduardo Mortara. Nico Muller now listed as a DNF.
Action stations aplenty, as you would expect on a restart race here, but it's Vergne that leads the way. We ride on board with
Sam Bird took attack mode. He took, I think, 2 minutes.
All over his gearbox at the moment.
Well, that's a great thing about these races. In the first lap of the actual race, everyone's being very polite, very kind. Here we are at this restart. It's starting to get a little bit more anxious, a bit more contact, and it just keeps building to a crescendo.
Cassidy and Hughes under investigation for a collision with one another. Didn't see what happened there, but we'll keep an eye out. Already a 5-second penalty for Hughes, so hopefully no more dramas coming the British driver's way. Through in towards Rascasse we go, and Roland is in a bit of a precarious place here because he needs to deploy one of these attack modes at some point soon, but does he try and attack on Vergne, or how does he play this one in terms of building out enough of a gap?
Well, Vergne should keep him held back into the pack because then
all right,
go
14 laps to go.
To lose 1 or 2 places whilst he runs wide to go through the attack zone.
And I think that's exactly the game Vergne's playing here, because if you've got to be careful. I think there is a little bit of a dryish line coming, so you know, he can defend and just force Roland away from where the grip is. So Roland again staying away from attack mode.
Yeah, he's visibly controlling the pace there, Vergne through the exit of Casino.
Da Costa looking to the outside of Buemi, who was trying to attack on Gunther. This is going to turn for the inside line here, but Da Costa, nothing Buemi can do. Contact between them. Oh, Buemi trying to firm it around the outside. Can he hold that? I don't think so, because Da Costa's not going to disappear, but he can, and does so. Brilliant driving between two of the most experienced racers in Formula E. And at the sharp end of the field, Vergne continues to soak up the pressure of Oliver Roland as they blast through and into the tunnel. Roland surely is going to have to try and have a look before too long, but he's just not within striking distance at the moment. Oh, look at that on the inside. Buemi on Gunther gets it done. Lovely stuff from Sebastian Buemi into 4th.
Yeah, great move there, down the inside, on the brakes, and, you know, that is no sort of wheel banging there, wasn't it? Nice, clean racing there.
Yeah, Roland trying to attack on Vergne into the swimming pool chicane, but can't find his way through. Let's have a look at Jean-Eric Vergne as we ride on board. So directly behind into Portier. Was there a bit of contact between them? There was. Front wing meets rear.
You gotta love that. You gotta love that. There was a little witness mark on the nose of Oliver Roland's car going into today's race, left over from yesterday's race.
So on to the start-finish straight we go, and Roland now starting to look a little bit anxious behind Jean-Eric Vergne here, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he senses, isn't it? He's worked out Jean-Eric Vergne is playing the game David just mentioned of backing Roland into the pack, and Roland's got to do something here. You know, either he's got to get past or try and risk the attack and try and get it done that way. Let's see.
He's thinking about it. Just not a big enough gap to De Vries behind, though.
Yeah, it's close looking a checkmate situation. Look at that. Verne a bit slow out of Casino Square. But again, Roland, he's in the really unfortunate position here. He's trying to attack the driver behind, but he can't be too aggressive because he's got Nick De Vries who's ready to pounce if the opportunity is there.
Yeah, so, great strategic racing.
Fantastic, isn't it? So on board again with Roland, snap of oversteer through the entrance.
How long will Roland wait before trying to make a move or trying to take attack mode? We're now at 13 laps to go.
This one into a fantastic crescendo, but Roland, he can't hang about too long for these attack modes. He's going to have to try and get this one done, because if he doesn't, he runs the risk of what we saw in Miami with drivers falling foul of attack mode misusage.
Yeah, I mean, Roland Verne is one of the smartest racers out there, isn't he? You know, there is now a little bit of a gap, you'd have to say, between Buemi and Da Costa. There is a gap there, so if Roland were to take attack mode, he dropped those two places, but no more.
Yeah, I think Da Costa missed the apex of the chicane on that lap. We just saw in the back of the camera shot. So that may have meant that, you know, Guilty Boy stepped off the power a bit on the exit, not to be seen to be gaining an advantage.
So at this pace, Tom, if he's got to do 8 minutes, he's looking at about, we're nearly 150 per lap, isn't it?
It's not long.
So 5-6 laps.
Have any position if I go?
You'd lose 2.
All right, investigation for Evans and
He can
Hughes.
risk waiting until lap 23, I think. But that's a big risk.
Yeah, he's just so aware, isn't he, behind the steering wheel, though.
Cassidy had gone for it. He has, yeah, into attack mode, then goes.
All right, Roland takes 4 minutes. Falls behind De Vries, but that shouldn't be that much of a problem, considering the long straightaways, or the long flat-out sections, I should say.
To cycle through after that safety car into 8th place, so he's looking pretty good here as well.
So if I was Nick, I wouldn't over-defend this, because it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to lose his own overall track position. So it's almost like, okay, you go, and I'll just try and get my braces hooked around your rear wing.
So let's see how quickly Roland can dispatch of Nick De Vries through into the tunnel, and look at how much traction and how much extra speed Roland has got over De Vries. De Vries is going to try and defend it down in towards the Evo chicane, side by side.
Oh.
Can it stop?
No! Roland blows the turn. He'll have to give up both spots.
De Vries is going to come back through and into second, and Roland's going to do it all over again.
That's the first bit of impatience.
Damn,
we've seen.
Roland doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
He could have waited and done the move on the exit with the extra traction.
Yeah, well, he's going to get it done on the start-finish, so we'll find
It's
out
one of those
in time whether
straightaways.
it was worth
Though,
Nick
I mean, that
putting
the
all that
coming out of the
defense
tunnel is the textbook place to make the pass to attack mode. But I mean, when you blow the chicane,
Track limits for that, man. He completely pushed me on the curb.
It was a robust defence for De Vries, you have to say.
I think it was racing. I think he just needs to phone his grandmother afterwards and tell his sob story
well,
to her.
He's got
the Roland takes second with the fastest lap.
Bit of traction and more power for Oliver Roland. No match then for him. And now what he needs to do is cycle ahead of Verne as quickly as he possibly can. And look at how close the Briton is to Verne as we come up the rise of the hill into Casino Square. And you would imagine that this is going to be a formality. Verne's car sliding like a dog on a polished floor as he comes through the left-hander, down through into the right. De Vries goes in.
De Vries takes attack mode.
Gets ahead of Sebastian Buemi as we come down in towards Mirabeau.
This is risky.
Roland's trying to get to the inside for the hairpin.
Thinks better of it. Can he dive to the inside at Fairmont? No, not quite at the moment. He's got enough attack mode. Oh, De Vries there, almost into the back of Buemi as well. So De Vries was not able to retain third position ahead.
Actually, I made a mistake.
From John Eric Verne.
Lola Yamaha is not the last place team, even though it is the last place manufacturer. Envision is the last place team.
So watch, this is the move for the lead coming up.
So out of the tunnel we go then, side by side. Roland to the
Roland's trying to get to the outside for the next turn.
This is brave, it's bold, it's
They go side by side to the turn, and Roland takes the lead. Oh, here comes De Vries. He takes the lead. Oh, what a pass. Oh, there's contact with him and Roland. Oh, and then he hits Verne. Oh.
Look as well at Buemi trying to find his way through too.
Yeah, but Roland has to give the place back to Verne.
He did. And then it's all kicked off after that.
I don't know
Wait,
if he did.
huh?
I don't think he did, because I think De Vries passed both of them, but I don't think Roland was behind Byrne. He's got to get through at least one corner, I think, behind. So I think Roland might be in
De Vries
front of
took 4 minutes of attack mode. Zidane took them, Pascal Vorline and Jake Hughes took attack mode. Taylor Barnard and Mitch Evans are the only drivers who have not used theirs yet. Guessing there's no pit boost today because it's a wet race.
Oliver was asking for a very compliant Verne trying to go around the outside. Verne is always going to go from apex to apex, leaving you with no room.
Yeah. I was surprised at that, because he tried the outside move, didn't he, before with De Vries, and that nearly put him in the wall. I was surprised he went for it again.
I now have a doubt in my mind as to whether he did give the place back, so hopefully we can get a little replay of that.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see. Yeah, I mean, listen, none of us want the decisions made by the stewards to affect the end result, but in this case, I think Oliver might be in trouble. But look, De Vries is going for the move here. He is in attack.
Roland's out of attack mode. De Vries is not. Here they come towards the Nouvelle Chicane, the only turn I remember off the top of my head. Roland's holding on, but how long can he hold on as the exit? Here comes De Vries to the inside. He takes the lead. Yeah, Roland will have another 4 minutes of attack mode, so... Whoa, look at the drift from the Mahindra. De Vries holding on to that number 21.
He is really pushing on here, Nick De Vries, and he needs to build an advantage over Oliver Roland if he is going to win this E-Prix.
That was like Drift Championship spectacular there.
I wonder if Roland's thinking he's just going to try and pull a 5-second gap.
He's no choice now, has he, other than to go?
You know, he's got what's he got now? 2 seconds over Buemi, but...
Yeah, Buemi's just cycling through ahead of Byrne. Let's have another look then down to the chicane.
So...
He's in the optimistic position here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Jean-Eric's always going to drive it to the apex.
I kind of made the corner now.
No, you don't.
No.
Right there, he's behind the corner.
Yeah, he always
So
will.
now he knows he has
outside.
to try and back out of it. It looks like he's thinking about it. And then as he's doing that, De Vries comes up the inside. So you're right. He didn't actually give the place back. And then De Vries runs wide. So maybe Roland now should go, take his second attack, and try and see if he can open out that window.
So that he can overcome possible penalties.
Really making hay whilst the sun shines. Two places in one corner.
I think Jeff made a slight mistake coming off the corner as De Vries was coming past him. So
De Vries is out of attack mode. Buemi's on. They got a minute 40 left.
To allow him pass, but he wasn't there.
2 second gap.
Buemi's got the better of Roland here in that attack mode deployment.
Sebastian Buemi by Oliver Roland.
Sebastian Buemi, he's got a minute and 29 remaining then here. That's the old hands.
So the key is, in this minute and 20 seconds to go, which is less than a lap at current pace, can Buemi take the lead from De Vries? Because this will be the win. This will be for track position of who's going to lead this race in the next 8 laps. So watch this. Watch Buemi. He's got 1 minute to try and get ahead of Nick De Vries here for potentially the win.
If De Vries would win, he would become the winningest driver in Formula E history, breaking a tie with himself at Lucas de Grassi and Mitch Evans. Oh man, the defense not working. De Vries through the curves at the start of the track takes the lead. Now he's got to scoot away as fast as he can.
He's got to drive the next few corners of his life coming through into the next few sectors.
Does Roland go for it?
The next spot isn't exactly the best place to capitalize on attack mode. Roland's taking his last attack mode. It's crunch time now. It'll be 3.5 minutes with Roland having the advantage over his competitors.
Yeah, you got 3 world champions in the top 4 places. Roland, the outlier.
Everyone taking their final attack mode, except Barnard and Evans are yet to take theirs. Barnard takes 4 minutes.
He's in trouble there. He's given the place back. Yeah, that is good thinking.
Roland has given the spot back to Verne. Like a bunch of people in the attack mode have caught up to him, but now I don't know if that necessarily was good timing for Roland. Maybe he had to do it, but now he's stuck in between cars that are all going on attack mode.
Completely plays into the hands of Buemi, even though we've got Roland with that attack mode.
Cassidy going
So he'll basically have a minute and a half. That might not be enough time.
The DS Penty driver goes down into 7th.
Yeah, watch Cassidy because he could come into play here. He's going to have attack mode for an extra 2 minutes over.
Jaguar has been struggling as of late. Cassidy's running out top 5. Yellow flag.
Turn 13 as well. That's at the swimming pool chicane. Probably for debris by the looks of things, because according to our driver map in the commentary box, doesn't look like anyone's come to a stop at the moment. We'll wait and see what's gone on there. If it's a big bit of debris, we might get a full course yellow.
And that would really hurt the drivers behind De Vries.
Now, and he's given that place back to Sebastian Buemi, but you can see the top 2, Buemi and De Vries, have scampered away at the sharp end of this one.
Buemi has not won a race in 6 years.
Yeah, Buemi's checked out, hasn't he? No doubt. You can see this is a great opportunity for him.
Okay, we need to give a position back to Jeff.
Yeah, so this must have
Jiv.
been an earlier radio message.
All right, yellow flag has been removed.
Has caught De Vries. Now, Verne has only got, Tom,
4.2
15
seconds.
of attack mode, which is basically the run to the chicane.
Roland's got basically has a lap to make it work. Got the optimum spots to do it.
And look at this fantastic racing action then here between Verne and Roland as we come through into the chicane.
Buemi, there he is in the Nouvelle chicane. There is the pack behind him. Verne's out of attack mode. This gives Roland his opportunity. He gets by Verne. He's got a minute and a half.
This is on board with Nick Cassidy, the Kiwi now behind Verne.
About a 4-second gap from Buemi to De Vries.
De Vries and Verne could be under pressure from all 3 of these cars here.
Yeah, Cassidy as well, also actively in attack mode, as well as Da Costa directly behind.
But there are 7 to go.
See the telltale signs of some previous contact.
Roland's got about a minute.
Getting his toes nicely chilled.
6 to go. Nick Cassidy by Jean-Eric Verne for 4th. Roland takes 2nd. He's got a minute of attack mode. 50 seconds. 52, 51, 50.
That's going to be a struggle. So Buemi and Envision, who by the way are last in the constructor and the team's championship.
They might get a win.
They are on course for a victory here.
Yeah, he won't quite get another
40
lap,
seconds.
but he'll certainly eat a good second and a bit out of that lead.
Well, the last time that Envision won
Now they're entering the slower part of the track.
season in London 2023 is Cassidy. Look out for the move.
Oh, Nick Cassidy trying to go for podium. On De Vries. Getting inside, heading into the hairpin. He gets 3rd.
He's up through, and now ahead of De Vries into.
And look, there's and Da Costa is up to 4th.
Making a move, and De Vries a bit of a sitting duck now, seemingly in the latter stage
Oh, wait.
of this race. And Cassidy's
Yeah.
also got a bit more energy to expend, so he saved energy in the opening stages of this one, and I wonder whether that will allow him to push on in the final 5 laps of this race.
Roland's out of attack mode. Couldn't get the time back.
139. So if you consider we started the race up at the 155s.
Team ready for Cassidy?
Beautiful, mate, beautiful.
Yeah, you know,
Cassidy has a lot of, as I said, he's got, I think, 6% more battery, 5 to 6% more battery than his opponents. So he could try to push right to the end.
I think, just looking at the timing board now, everyone down until Jake Hughes in 16th have all used their 2 attack modes.
Yeah, so we come through into the final corner. Buemi still leads the race. Roland, though, is catching him. This is going to be an out-and-out scrap with 4 laps now remaining.
4 to go.
On the streets of
It's 5 to go.
Buemi versus Roland for the win. Envision haven't won a race since 2023. Buemi hasn't won a race since 2019. That was back in New York City in Gen 2. So this will be a very welcome return to the top step of the podium for the Swiss driver. Can Roland, though, do anything about it in the closing stages of this one? Further down the order, Gunther under pressure here from Jake Dennis as he comes up over the top of the hill. Will the British driver be able to challenge
Envision
him
used
for
to be on top of the world. They won the team's championship in 2023. Overall lost the that's when Nick Cassidy was driving for them. Lost the title to Jake Dennis.
All cars in the top 10 have activated attack.
And what an unexpected set of circumstances this would be for Sebastian Buemi. Certainly, if you'd had a couple of quid on this in the casino, you'd be laughing at the moment. Let's see whether you will be.
Though all of Buemi's wins came from his time with Renault Dams, E-Dams. But back when when Dams, the F2 team, was in Formula E using Renault power.
for Sebastian Buemi, and that just goes to show how experienced. Really
Then Nissan joined,
like this,
and then they took over as the full owner of the team.
Away from Roland, really,
And then we have Nissan Formula E team.
That defense and didn't give the place back up immediately. Well, could it? Because De Vries was coming at him. So it's a bit funny. I mean, Cassidy's also got 6% more energy, but we're not going to be energy limited here because we've only got 4 laps to go, and they can use as much as they want. So that normally the energy would be a critical part of this phase of the race. Today, because of the wet conditions, it's not. So don't worry about that. It's a straight race in terms of speed.
4 to go.
That's currently P3, mate. P3. There's no one around in attack. No one around in attack. We are good on energy.
Quite incredibly, this will be a first podium of the season for Nick Cassidy. His best finish to date was 5th position. And other than that, he has not had a single points finish. It's not been a particularly brilliant start to his season, and it would be a very welcome sight. But he has got his mirrors full of Antonio Felix da Costa, who's trying to salvage something for Tag Heuer Porsche. 4th place for da Costa at the
Sepp
moment.
Morvarline is 7th.
Over the back of the Jaguar driver, through into the hairpin. Not close enough to launch an attack at the moment, but see whether he is going to be able to challenge before too long, because da Costa last time around was about 0.4 of a second quicker than Nick Cassidy. Incidentally, Buemi, personal best lap time at 1:40 flat. That was a second faster than Oliver Rowland. So that gap has now increased up to 4.5 seconds at the sharp end of this one, with 3 laps now remaining. The 3 drivers nose to tail then here, coming out of the chicane and in towards to back. And you wonder if da Costa is going to be able to have a nibble at this podium place to salvage something other than a disappointing weekend, really, for Porsche by their standards.
Yeah, I mean, they've at least got 2 cars in the points, and that's something that, at the moment they've got 2 cars in the points. Da Costa was quite close to having something to say about that.
Yeah, da Costa very close. Team radio.
You have fastest lap as well. Good job.
So we do then get 1 added lap after that safety car earlier on in the race, as well as the full course yellow. And it does mean it turns from a 29 up to a 30 lapper, exactly the same as we had yesterday for round 6, incidentally. But now on board with da Costa, a snap of oversteer coming up over the rise. He is really beginning to push on. Lap times have stabilised a little bit between Cassidy and da Costa, pretty even between them last time around. Coming down the hill, Cassidy taking a defensive line, trying to force da Costa to take the long way around the outside.
You get the sense earlier that da Costa's got a lot of pace here, and he's kind of stuck. Look at the dry line. The track is really drying up there at the hairpin, but that's part of the challenge, right? Is the dry line is one line with it all being going round and round. So to overtake, you have to go on the wet part of the track, and that is the challenge.
Just seeing that Barnard, Maloney, Tickton have been given a 5-second time penalty respectively for track limits in this race. They're all a bit further down the order. Look at da Costa, looking for a move on the inside. He's locked up. He's locked up. He's into the back of Cassidy. Cassidy parks the car on the apex. Da Costa can't find a way through. Into to back. And Cassidy now on the defensive once again. Da Costa looking to try and challenge, and you wonder how long it'll be. Oh, it's just over the curb there, a little bit greedy through the swimming pool. Such are the joys of this Monaco circuit. You can't park your car in the wrong place, especially when you've only got one-line circuit like we have with this drying track here.
Da Costa, I know he wants to get past, but it's looking quite edgy, isn't it? We just need to make sure we get to the end, because actually 4th will be a decent haul of points. And let's not forget, he is a title contender along with his teammate Pascal Wehrlein here.
So up through the rise we go, and he is still looking very menacing here as Antonio Felix da Costa. Seems like the second sector is the one where he's strong. Last time around, by the way, Sebastian Buemi set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:39.556. So though he's been told he's got a comfortable margin over Oliver Rowland, the Swiss driver is not backing down on this one and is continuing to pound in the lap and the sector times here.
Yeah, the track's drying up as well, so the grip's just coming and the lap time's coming, and the battle for 3rd and 4th rages on. You can see, actually, you know, they've kind of dropped the Vries, haven't they? They've dropped the Vries by nearly. Whoa, da Costa! That was a big slide into the second part of Portier, but he caught it.
Yeah, it's really pushing the envelope then here is da Costa, but look at the time it's cost him coming through into the tunnel. Meanwhile, 2 laps to go for this man, Sebastian Buemi, separating him from his third win on the streets of Monte Carlo. He won it back in the Gen 1 era of 2015 and also in 2017 when we had this as a biannual event on the Formula E calendar. That was on a slightly different layout, and well, the expression not giving much away, Sylvain Filippi probably will be down the casino playing poker with an expression like that after this race, but I'm sure internally he'll be absolutely delighted, if not quite apprehensive, for the final 2 laps of this race.
It's been a pretty miserable 18 months for that team, hasn't it? Since they won the team's championship in 23, they've had a rough ride, and you know, it's the circumstances, the weather, all of that has offered them an opportunity, but they've seized it so far.
He's moving under braking.
Copy, we'll report.
Costa not happy then with Cassidy's driving standards. The gap, though, is up to over a second at the end of this race. Meanwhile, further back down the order, you can see here the two DS Penske's. Their race has come somewhat unravelled after being up the sharp end in the opening stages. They've got Pascal Wehrlein, close for company behind. Here has Jean-Eric Vergne.
The Stellantis cars definitely seen better in the wetter part of this race, and as the track's dried up, they've not quite had the pace, and it's the Porsches that have come good, really.
Yeah, it has been a difficult weekend for Porsche, no doubt about it. They've never won here on Monaco, and they're not going to be doing so here today either.
Yeah, Gunther's under investigation for moving under braking, and he's there just to the right of the back of shot now, behind Pascal Wehrlein and ahead of Jake Dennis. So I assume Dennis has had a bit of a rant on the radio about that.
So through into the tunnel we go, and we come bursting into the daylight there. Wehrlein, again, not close enough. So the straight line speed of that Stellantis DS-powered DS Penske is looking pretty handy. Dennis all over Max Günther as well, like a cheap suit at the moment, trying to find his way through for 8th position. But, again, no way through for the Season 9 world champion at the moment. Dennis, though, looking really on the ragged edge of adhesion coming through that swimming pool chicane as Buemi begins the final lap of racing here in Monte Carlo for 2025. And what a weekend to the end of it will be for the Swiss driver here. Fastest laps coming in as the track continues to improve. It dries out, and this has been an absolute masterclass. There is no substitute for experience, especially in Formula E when we get races like this. And Sebastian Buemi started this one 8th on the grid. At the moment, he is leading the way at the beginning of this final lap in commanding style.
Yeah, he used his attack modes wisely.
For a job application. Anyway, the last lap, not much has changed. It's still Buemi, Roland, Cassidy, the top 3, with Da Costa chasing for 4th, and it looks like the extra energy really didn't do Cassidy any extra good.
Not often we see big gaps like this in Formula E, is it?
Certainly isn't.
Nick's saying that he has fastest lap. Man, 4 drivers with penalties. Maloney, Ticktum, Barnard, Hughes.
Costa, hasn't it? So today, team radio message there for Nick Cassidy, and
Buemi getting through the Nouvelle chicane.
Fastest lap then here, but we head into the final sector with Sebastian Buemi, and as a team that have had their back against the wall over the last 18 months since their championship for the teams back in 2023, it has not gone all their own way.
All right, goes to the swimming pool chicane.
Season 10 were a couple of podiums back in Poland.
Coming to Larascas.
A case of 2 more corners.
Then to Anthony Noakes. 6 years after his last win, he'll be the winningest driver in Formula E. Sebastian Buemi wins the 2nd Monaco ePrix.
Wins on the streets of Monaco. Buemi takes the checkered flag in commanding style from Oliver Rowland. Nick Cassidy will come home to take his first podium of the season in 3rd place. Da Costa over the line in 4th position. A fantastic end to the race as well, further down between Vergne.
It's his 14th career victory.
As they come to take the checkered flag, nose to tail with one another, and the relief for Sylvain Filippi.
That's pretty cool.
Come on! Yes! Sebastian Buemi wins the Monaco ePrix for the 3rd time. He won it in 2015, he won it in 2017, and he wins it again in 2025. Karun, let's catch up with him.
Try and catch him. Sebastian is covered in the commentary box. Congratulations. What a tricky race in those conditions for you.
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, hard to believe. Just got to be lucky from time to time, but today we had great pace, great attack mode, you know, timing, amazing. 3-time Monaco winner, not bad.
Yeah, well, much better than not bad. And it's been a tough 18 months for the team since you guys won the team's championship. This must be a bit of a relief to have another win now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've been through a lot. So obviously to win now, it's something incredible. I think those guys deserve way more, you know. I let them down quite a few times, and now today to win, you know, especially here, it's something very special. So yeah, very thankful to them.
Well, congratulations, and enjoy the celebrations tonight.
All right,
Thank
so that
you.
does that. Buemi wins, Roland second, Cassidy third, DaCosta fourth, DeVries fifth, Vern sixth, Varline seventh, Gunther eighth, Dennis ninth. Van Dorn continues the streak of being the only driver to score points in every single race in the 10th position. All right, that does it for this. I was going to do the Indy next race as well, but I think I'm going to have to put that aside and not do it. So the next one would for that would be Indy, the Indy road course. That's a maybe because my parents are, well, my mom's coming up this week, so I'm not sure I could do Saturday for that race. But later today is the IndyCar, NASCAR, Formula One stream with Barber, Texas, and Miami. Anyway, thanks so much for those who showed up. Hope you enjoyed. BowserJrXD signing off. Have a good one.